If I'm not passionate about something, I know it's not going to be a success. And the key thing is, you've got to be really passionate. If you're passionate about something, it will be successful.
Today, I'm joined by someone who truly embodies what it means to build beyond the numbers.
People are really resilient, and I don't think they realise how resilient they are. So whatever situation you get into, you'd often find a way out.
Kavita Oberoi OBE is one of Derby's most influential and inspiring entrepreneurs.
And then for somebody else to tell me I wasn't good enough. So after that interview, I thought, that's it, I'm never going to work for anybody else again. And I think it was that missing out on a promotion that made me set my own business.
Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers. I'm Bev Wakefield, and this is the podcast where we take the stress out of business finance and break down the numbers in a way that actually makes sense. Today, I'm joined by someone who truly embodies what it means to build beyond the numbers. Kavita Oberoi OBE is one of the Derby's most influential and inspiring entrepreneurs. She's the founder of Oberoi Consulting, which provides innovative healthcare support services across the UK, and the Oberoi Business Hub, a thriving enterprise and community space in Pride Park that's become the home for so many growing businesses in the city. Kavita was awarded an OBE in 2014 for services to entrepreneurship and startup businesses. She holds an honorary doctorate from the University of Huddersfield, as well as an honorary fellowship from Burton and South Derbyshire College, for her contribution to education and enterprise. Now, her impact doesn't stop with business. Kavita founded the Oberoi Foundation, which focuses on improving lives of women and girls and has already supported projects like Maggie's Cancer Caring Centres. She's also a patron of the Star Trust, mobilising Derbyshire's businesses to raise funds for local causes. And she helped launch the Breakfast Club scheme to ensure school children across Derby start the day with a healthy meal. Now, you might also recognise her from TV. Kavita's appeared on The Secret Millionaire, where she went undercover to support grassroots charities, and she's featured on The Apprentice, You're Fired, BBC Breakfast, Sky News, and ITV's Business Club, sharing her insight on leadership, purpose, and the realities of entrepreneurship. Now, Kavita's story is one of resilience, purpose, and giving back. From starting her first business after being passed over for a promotion to building multi-million-pound ventures that create real impact. Kavita, I'm so pleased to have you here. Thank you.
Nice to be here, Bev. You make me sound impressive.
You are impressive. You are. And I guess there's so many accolades and accomplishments, but there's always a journey behind it, isn't there? Can you tell me a little bit of an insight of where this journey began?
Absolutely. My journey started really early. So my father was an entrepreneur. He came over to the UK in the 1960s. He used to work in India on the rail, in a very low-paid job. He sold my mother jewellery to get a ticket, and his sole focus was to set up a business to provide for his children.
Wow.
So he came over here and he watched somebody plumbing a bath, and he decided he was going to set up a plumbing business, but he was never going to get his hands dirty. So he called over his brother, and they started this plumbing business. Learnt along the way. I think my mum used to say a bit like Lauren Hardy, but he had great charisma and people by people, and he got away with it. So he then set up his first retail store, and at that time I'd just been born, and he sort of said I was a lucky star. When I came, that's when his wealth, really started to grow. And so we used to live above that plumbing shop, and every day my mum would put me in a new dress and I'd go out with him on his business calls, probably about the age of 2, new dress every day. And I remember, you wouldn't do this now, but in those days, he used to leave me in the car while he went to his business meetings forever in a day. But I have those memories. And I also have this memory of we used to go and visit these chickens and give them something before we went back home. Oh. So I think my entrepreneurial spirit comes from my father.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of conflict when I was growing up because I came from an South Asian background, an Asian background. And from the family culture and the culture at the time in the 1970s, it was women's role is in the kitchen, and the purpose as a girl was you get married and that's it. Your purpose is to look after you're the one at home raising the family. And I was always one who wanted to break the rules and do all these different things. I remember coming down as I was growing older, coming into the plumbing shop, breaking the typewriter, driving my dad insane. I loved selling, so I learned about plumbing very young, and I used to love it when I used to go in about 5 or 6 years old. And I'd be, if somebody came in and asked for like 15 mil sockets or compression sockets, I knew what to do. I could serve them.
Wow.
So my business lesson started really early.
Yeah.
But as I was growing up, I knew there was this conflict because, women weren't supposed to have a career or an education. So all my life I had to try and navigate through that because that's what I really wanted to do. So that's where my early business lessons started. And then, for me, I suppose it was my mother that empowered me. So at the age of 15, unfortunately, I lost my father. Oh. It was a real blow on the family. So I was one of 4, had an older sister, an older brother. They were both born in India, and they came over when my dad had got enough money. And then there was myself, who was born in the UK, and my younger brother. Mm-hmm. So when my dad passed away, I was sort of doing my GCSEs, and it was a really difficult time. And it sort of really knocked my confidence as well. It was all at that sort of time. And just in that summer, I decided I was going to go and get a Saturday job at Richard Shops. Okay. Anyway, I did. And then it just brought massive uproar within the family and extended family. What was I doing going out to work? I was bringing shame to the whole family.
Wow.
My father had just passed away. He was a successful entrepreneur. What was the need for me to go out and earn any money? So, but my mother was amazing. She said, I don't want you to listen to anybody. It doesn't matter what people say. I'm with you. You can do that, but never ever let me down. Never let the culture down, which meant you must have an arranged marriage. You must do everything. You must put the food on the table every day. But if you want to work, you can go and work. Mm-hmm. So that was my first job at the age of 15, Saturday job. And I continued with that until I went to university, and I was one of their top salespeople. It gave me great skills, sales skills, negotiation skills, all of that. And I loved doing what I did. And I went back to do my studies. And again, it was one of those things where, you're now getting to 18, you now need to get married. There's all the pressure of, you need to get married. And I really wanted to study. So along the way, I if I wanted to achieve something, it was how could I make a compromise? So I wanted to go to university. I was never allowed to go away and live away. Mm-hmm. I had to commute. So I ended up, I actually wanted to be a doctor, but that wasn't going to be allowed because...
The amount of time.
I'd be too old, wouldn't I? Nobody's going to marry me at the age of 23, 24 when I finish. So that wasn't going to be allowed. So in the end, I did chemistry at Huddersfield, and I commuted every single day. So I did a 4-year sandwich course, and just to prove wrong the person who had said I wouldn't do very well in chemistry, I ended up getting a first-class honours.
Fantastic.
And I did a year out in industry for ICI. And then when I did that year out, I was in a research lab. And that's when I decided, when I finish, what I want to do is I want a sales job, and I want to be seeing doctors. So I looked up the careers, and I found medical sales. And I thought, that's the one for me, because
you're perfect at sales. You've had experience of it.
And I thought, I want a company car as well.
Nice.
So anyway, I then ended up getting my first job with Bayer Pharmaceuticals with a company car. Probably was about 22. And honestly, the family are just flaking out because I'm still not married. And now I've got a first-class honours degree, and now I'm earning some money. So that's like the backstory up until that point.
How did your mum cope with that as well? Because I guess that was a lot for you to take. At least your mum was almost going, no, don't worry, I've got you back. That's hard for...
A lot of pressure. She got a lot of backlash for many years. And I suppose as well, she sort of, probably from about the age of 16, 17, when I was that age, she was scouting the whole country for a prospective husband, and this is how it used to happen. I used to get introduced to people, and I would just say no. And when I get to the point of when I was just finished, my mum goes like, there must have been somebody at university. And I said, well, there wasn't. However, there was somebody, and if I think about him, it was the best of bad lot. Okay. And I thought, and actually, because in our culture, there's a system, there's a caste system. Obviously, I was from a business background, so a business background would be ideal, etc. Okay. And there's always a middleman, there's a matchmaker.
Right.
So I told my mum about this, and anyway, the week after, somebody rang her and said, by the way, we think there's a suitable match in Derby.
Okay.
And you might want to go and see him. But obviously she'd seen everybody else. She said, absolutely. She said, they run a business, it's a lighting business, and et cetera, et cetera. So off she trot with my brother, sister-in-law, the whole family. They go and check out the prospective husband first. And they came to see my prospective husband. And being Asian, you never shut your business. So she had to go and vet him in the lighting shop.
Got you.
She was stalked out all day because she wanted to go and see the home. She wasn't going to go home without seeing the home, and she complained that she never got fed because my mother fed everyone. But anyway, she came back and she thought, yeah, this is perfect. I needed to make a few changes, but this is perfect. But they were also very strict. So they thought, if, their principles were, if I get married, I can't go out to work. I just got my first class honours. I just got my car.
Yeah.
They'd allow me to work in their business, but that was it.
Right.
And also, prospective husband's mum had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I needed to be a carer.
Okay.
So anyway, the following week they came up to see me, vet me, and I remember thinking, well, if this person walks in, the one thing I'd do is make sure he takes his tash off, because I remember that at university. So when they came, obviously we did know each other, so we had a good conversation, and he said to me, I've got to lay it to you straight, this job that you've got to give that up. My mum is really poorly, you need to look after her, and there's no way you're going to be going out to work. And I thought, you know what, let's fine, because you have to make some compromises along the way. As long as I can do the things that tick those boxes, and I could get what I wanted. And going out to me was like getting my freedom and my passion and what I wanted to do. So anyway, I said yes, and that was it. Within an hour, we were engaged. And then within 6 months, I had to move to Derby. And I told my employer, and I said that, and in that period, I talked the family round. I said that I would do everything they wanted me to do, look after the home, look after the mom, everything, if it just let me go to work. And they agreed.
Wow.
And my employer also, because I'd done such a great job, they got me a transfer. And that's how I started my career in pharmaceuticals.
Wow. That's not the average start, is it? Like so many issues, and to be so passionate about it and go, no, this is a non-negotiable. Whilst I'll kind of compromise now, I'll at least, and you've clearly done that throughout, trying to negotiate and pull and work out how you can kind of weave it. It's like, but that's a lot. So you were holding a full-time job and caring and putting food on the table.
Yeah, and I think I just used to, and I think the job I had gave me the flexibility to sort of get up early, do what I needed to do the job, get back in time, do the food. When we got married, unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away within a month, and I had the responsibility of looking after the home, looking after my father-in-law, doing all of that, and I was only 22.
Wow.
And it's really funny because one of the criteria is, can she cook? And I remember all those years, my mum was an amazing cook, and you learn in so many different ways. So even though I wasn't in the kitchen, just her presence and knowing what she was doing, and I can remember ringing up and go, how do I do this? When they first came round the first time, my family, my mum, my brother, everybody, they went, oh, how did you do all that? And I said, you see, told you I could cook. But you learn, don't you? If whatever situation you're in, you've got to adapt.
Well, and you've clearly shown that you can kind of, throw me into plumbing sales and I'll do that at a simple age. I'm surprised we didn't take you into the meetings actually at 2 in your new dresses as well. So you might have been the best sales negotiator then too. Incredible. So tell me about that journey from, you've moved to Derby and you're in this pharmaceutical industry now. So you're where you wanted to be in.
Yeah.
How did we get to Oberoi Consulting in effect?
So obviously I worked as a medical sales rep, and then
Yeah.
I went on to maternity leave. So just let me think. I had my first daughter, went back to work, and then just trying to think. Yes, so it was my second daughter, and then there was an opportunity came up while I was on maternity leave for a training role. So that's like a next step up to managerial role.
Okay.
And I decided that's what I'm going to do. I'll apply for that. And when I've got something in my head, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. I've already got the vision, and I'm just going towards that. I applied for it, and this is like the biggest disappointment ever at the time. It was like, I didn't get it. And I felt so hard done by. I didn't even want to like go back for the feedback or anything, but I think it was, some of it was I was too autocratic, too risky, taking chat. I didn't fit that corporate field. And this is when I started thinking, gosh, do I really want to work for a company? I'd worked for my employer for 8 years, and then for somebody else to tell me I wasn't good enough. I started going for interviews, and I thought I could be doing this, and sat there doing a fabulous job, and this could all happen again. So I thought, no, let me think what I can do. And I think it was that missing out on a promotion that made me set my own business.
And
the best thing ever.
Did you do that when, so you're still on maternity leave with your second daughter?
Yeah.
And you went, right, I'm starting my business up now.
Yeah, so basically it was very quick. So after that interview, I thought, that's it, I'm never going to work for anybody else again. Failure's not an option. And whilst what I was doing at the time, I don't know if you remember, but statins were the big rage for reducing heart disease. So I was selling Lipobay, which was a cholesterol lowering drug.
Okay.
And when I used to see my doctors as a medical rep, I would talk to them about the benefits. And there was a guideline that came out, the National Service Framework for Cardiovascular Disease. In there, it stated if you've already had a heart attack or if you've had a stroke, that you should have a statin, and the cholesterol level should be treated to less than 5.
Right.
So I would go and talk to my doctors about this, and they would say, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But I couldn't see the sales increasing, or they would be slow. And I thought, how am I going to make an impact on this? How am I going to get these patients on the right medications? How's this all going to happen? So I self-taught myself the GP system. Okay, and then I'd ask my GPs, can I go on your system and find these patients? Can you imagine GDPR?
I know now, yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And they'd go, yeah, Kavita, that's fine. You go on there. And they would let me sit on there. I'd produce a list of all these patients that should be on a statin. And then they would start prescribing. And I thought, you know what, there's a business opportunity here. To cut a long story short, I got myself in front of Pfizer, and I presented this big vision that my company could do this. We could, and the government had just launched a contract. Okay, so it meant points meant prizes. So every patient put on a statin would be a tick box, which would then equate to a COLA bonus payment for the doctor. But not only that, if they treated them to less than 5, they'd get another bonus paid. So atorvastatin, Lipitor, was the world's biggest brand from Pfizer.
Right.
And it was the most potent. So I sold my big idea, and I said, my company, it's little old me, that this is what we're going to do. I did do a pilot just before. I managed to do a local pilot in one of the areas.
Nice.
Which showed the benefit of the increased sales, but showed the benefit of patient uptake, everything.
Amazing.
So I got there, and I presented how this could help patients, because we're preventing, if we get faster patients on treatment faster, it's going to prevent future events.
Yep.
Because they were the market leader, they'd have an increase in market share, and the doctors would get a bonus.
Yeah,
so it's a win-win.
Yeah, every way.
So anyway,
so it's selling to serve again, isn't it? You're almost going, here's a problem, I'll fix it for you. You've not got time to do that. You've got to see patients. Exactly. Let me just sort it for you.
So I can remember going there, pitching in June to the brand manager, and I walked out with a £500,000 contract.
Wow, what a big contract to your firm.
I didn't have any staff, anything, but they believed my passion, and I was never going to let them down. So I started hiring, firing. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. Started my business in my bedroom, and then we had 500 practices to deliver by the end of June. I was going out doing that, coming home, looking after the family, had 2 daughters, everything. and just working through the night and then starting again the next morning.
Wow.
So that's how it all started.
And how did that go down? So not only now are you not holding a job, you've now set up a business. Surely that was a eyebrow moment.
It was, and I think in our house, like was my husband, my father-in-law, and that, I think he was really like, we are the business people. So my success was never talked about at home. As soon as I got home, clothes changed, Cinderella, I'm in the kitchen doing what I need to do. Not until years later, it was just never really talked about.
How did you find that?
I was okay because I just wanted to run my business.
Doing what you were doing.
I was wanting
to
do what I did. I'm not really there to do that for the recognition.
Yes.
I'm there because that's what my passion is, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So actually but then you were carrying so much though then.
I know. It's crazy because you think, how did I do all of that? But you know what? People are really resilient, and I don't think they realise how resilient they are. So whatever situation you get into, you'd often find a way out. You've just got to have the self-belief.
Mm-hmm. And then it's obviously just flown from that.
Yeah, so then obviously I was running the business, and then I needed an office.
And you thought, I'll just get a hub.
So at the time, Pride Park had just come about.
Yeah.
And for me, I always dream it first. So I thought, if I have an office, it's got to be on Pride Park. This is where everything's coming. And, at that time, all Asians had Mercedes, and there was a plot next to the Mercedes garage. And I thought, it's got to be next door to Mercedes. And I called the agent, and I said, I want to buy that plot. He said, no, it's gone. And I kept on calling him like a mad person. He said, it's gone. Anyway, he came back and said it had fallen through. And I said, I told you it was mine. So I managed to purchase that 5,000 square foot building. Mm-hmm. And then it was much bigger than what I needed. So what I did is, at that time, I just leased the top floor, mm-hmm. and downstairs was like some offices, and any space. I was always thinking, I could sell space, and do it as meeting rooms. But that was the first office on Pride Park. So, and then sort of going forward, obviously all my staff were nationally based because they had to go into GP practices. So that was just like a head office base. Mm. And then just as I'd sort of done all of that, I also got approached by the makers of Secret Millionaire. And my dad was a very successful businessman, but nobody remembers him for that. Remember him for the impact he had on others, and his charitability, and how he helped, and all of this. And I thought, you know what? I'd watched a programme, and I thought, maybe let me do this. It might get me into doing something different, into charity. I mean, when I got my job at Richard Shops, from there, I used to write a £100 cheque every month to Oxfam.
Oh, amazing.
So I was always, and I think, again, that was my dad's influence, the giving influence and stuff. So I went on this trip to Mumbai with the group of ladies. There was a trip going to India to find, learn about business, learn about charity, and I was really inspired. I met a lady out there who'd gone out there 35 years ago, and she had a daughter with cystic fibrosis, and she has set up it was a National Spastic Society there, and for children who didn't have a right to education because they were disabled.
Right.
And her own daughter was disabled, and she thought, that's terrible. Just because you're disabled, why does it not give you a right to education? So she went out there and did that and changed it. It took her 30 odd years. And her daughter got a double MA in Oxford. So there's no barriers to achievement. It's just what you feel yourself.
That's incredible.
So when I came back, this is when I thought, I need to do something more. And that's when I got approached by the makers of Secret Millionaire the second time around. And I thought, I'm ready for this now. Because if I'm not passionate about something, I know it's not going to be a success. And the key thing is, you've got to be really passionate. If you're passionate about something, it will be successful. Mm. So after I came out of there and I'd done this undercover, and then I did set up a scheme in Derby as well. It's all about, I gave to a GP practice actually, and also to a women's group to empower women of a young age, because I know what empowerment can do, because I'd had it from my mother.
Yeah.
So, and we'd shown the benefits and etc. I set that up. And then that got me onto this sort of bigger charity role. And then I got approached by the Global Girls Fund, and they are the part of Girl Guiding. And for their centenary year, they were looking for a chair to help fundraise £10 million in 5 years. And that was great. I went on that journey, and I met people worldwide, royal family, the Princess of Copenhagen. I went to the palace there, and you know, she sort of said, yeah, this is what we'd like you to do. And we did it in 3 years.
Wow.
We got 2 million from UPS because they had a foundation, and they were, you know, they were global. It matched what we were doing. And again, it was just like business, because if we were going to get there, we had to think, how are we going to get this money? So we had to do like a hit list of
who are we going to sell to?
Who we're going to sell to, corporations, or it's going to be high net worth individuals who have also been impacted by Girl Guiding, like J.K. Rowling, etc. So we'd find that hit list, we'd do the pitch, everything, same thing.
Yeah.
So that's when I first sort of got into that charity bit, and then I thought after that I need to bring it back down to Derby.
Fantastic.
And then in 2008 or 9, I think, when the recession hit. That's when, and you know, space, and I had this 5,000 square feet space. It was empty. You know, somebody had just lost someone who had given up their lease, and I thought, you know what, if I could just change this, split this space up into smaller units. And I thought about when I needed to set up my business, I actually needed a brand and a perception.
Yeah.
I was really lucky I got that contract.
Yes, because it enabled the purchase then.
Yeah, but you see, I was working in my bedroom, and there's not many sole entrepreneurs who you're going to get a big corporate contract. I think I just winged it. But I thought I could help other people, because I think it's really important you do have a presence, because sometimes if you're on your own, you might have the skills, you might be able to deliver, but you might not get that contract with the blue chip companies, etc. So I thought, if I set up a hub, we could do, I remember putting my phone on answer machine as well, coming back and listen to the messages. I thought, right, well, if we could answer people's calls, we could give them a Pride Park presence, so a virtual address, we could give them meeting rooms, and we could give them physical space. And that's how the Business Hub started. And then that just led me to purchasing 5 or 6 buildings, all within the vicinity, and that's how the Oberoi Business Hub started. So that's what we do. We answer calls for so many different businesses, either solopreneurs or big multinational companies, and some companies abroad as well. So that's the 2 different businesses, and for me, all of it has to lead to a purpose.
Yes.
You know, so
it was enabling someone else to do the journey that you'd done.
Yes.
As with the girls, the women, the foundations that you've done have all again led because you've looked at where you've been and gone, how can I help someone else?
Yeah. So, you know, I love it if somebody comes up to me 10 years later and said, I remember you doing that speech and I did this as a result of it. And I get it all the time, and I think, how do you remember? You know, they remember, and it happens so many times. So if I can impact somebody's journey through the work that I'm doing, that's what really drives me, and the money is just a byproduct.
That's fascinating, honestly. Now, starting business is harder even for you, because you weren't even supposed to be starting a business, in effect. What have some of those challenging moments looked like for you as a business owner?
I think even now as a business owner, with we're 25 years old since my first business I started, I have bought and sold business in the meantime as well, doing that journey.
Yeah.
But I think even now, I think for me, I've always found a challenge is when it's your own business, like sometimes you expect everybody around you to be at the rate you are, and you're sometimes there, people are there, you've got to take them on a journey. That can sometimes feel uncomfortable for people, and you're supposed to be better leaders. I think I find leadership really, really hard.
It is hard, though, isn't it?
So hard, and getting the best out of people. But just saying that, I have like staff members just left now after 22 years.
Wow.
And others been with me to 20 odd years, 15 years, 10 years, but I still could be better, a lot better, because that is tough. I find that really tough. And when you're so driven, sometimes you overlook those things.
Well, you forget, don't you? Like you say, you've got so many different roles that you're running. You're HR 1 second, leadership the second, vision, strategy. Actually being able to take the time and go, oh, how are you? Or actually, am I taking you on this journey with me? Or am I kind of abdicating maybe responsibility of something to you? And and also we carry so much. Yeah. So sometimes being able to park that and go, am I being the truest leader, best leader I can be?
And then also, nobody asks you, how do you feel, because you'll get the this like this in business, and the other thing is when, we'll all go through it where you've got these fantastic contracts, but sometimes they come to an end and then you've upscaled and this, and it is really challenging. I think that's for every business owner, but you're supposed to then just remain as you are. Composed. So I think, those are some of the key challenges, but you've got to, I think, so my earlier journey taught me a lot of resilience.
Yes. Yeah, and you probably learnt so much of that you've been able to take and keep that poise and, almost the compromise a little bit. That's incredible, honestly. Now, sometimes there's a moment that shifts everything and it can look quite small from the outside, but it was a turning point. Do you have, there sounds like there's already been lots of those that we've seen. Is there one that hits you though?
I think it is missing out on that promotion. That was a key turning point. Thank God I didn't get that job.
I know. Can you imagine if you'd stayed? Yeah. Do you think part of you would have gone, no, I want to do something more, because you were always quite driven anyway?
Possibly, but I think it came just at the right time. Market conditions for my business idea, everything was like just perfect. And also, again, you have to really put in the hours. It's day and night, a lot of sacrifice on your own time, guilt as a mother, so I remember the year I did miss the sports day. Oh my God, and I arrived and everybody was coming out and I thought, oh my God. And then from there, I always make sure I prioritise on those things I put in my diary. And, you have all of that. And sometimes it is just not possible. So you carry a lot of guilt as well.
Yeah, there's always guilt as a mum. I think there's always, as a parent, as anything. We shuffle it around, don't we? Now, if you were to look back and reflect, what were the tactics or habits or approaches that you would really give credit to your growth? And again, I've seen quite a few of these resilience, compromise come through.
Yeah, I think you have to have like a laser-like focus. Yeah, I think it's really important, and you have to stay focused on that. If you've got a belief, you've got to drive that through to a strategy, to say, this is what we're going to do and how you're going to get there. I think you have to be really, really resilient. And sometimes you do have to make compromises. Well, I've had to make loads of compromises along the way. If I hadn't have done, I don't think I'd ever get to where I am. So, and you've got to be dedicated and you've got to have passion. If you don't got passion for what you're doing, then it's not going to be a success.
Yeah, because your heart's not in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, I've got 6 questions that I ask everyone, bit of a quick fire round. So if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, if it were one piece of advice to my younger self, I think asking for help is not a weakness. I think it's important that we do surround ourselves by mentors or people who've been on the journey, who may have got different ideas, who can help your journey, and asking for them and getting them on your journey as well.
That was even harder though, because you kind of had to go out and do your job in spite of. So actually for you to then ask for help again, that's surely you've not been allowed to talk about it.
Exactly. And I think as well, mentorship, mentors and people who have been there on your journey, I think that can be really helpful, but people then don't reach out. So maybe, so asking for help is not weakness. It was hard, like you can't, like you've just said.
Yeah.
You're trying to prove a point.
Yes. What's one belief, habit or rule you wish you'd unlearned earlier?
wish I'd unlearned. Was that the same one as that one? I was just thinking. Sorry.
I guess you could use it the other way in terms of going, you wish you'd asked for help, as you kind of you've unlearnt that belief, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you've had? You've obviously not had any limiting beliefs.
No, because I think half the problem with me, I think I'm always trying to prove people wrong.
Yeah. But that's helped you with that drive. We don't want to get rid of that.
Yeah. So if somebody said, you're not allowed to do this, or you can't do it.
You will then do it.
Then I will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I suppose I don't know if that answers that question.
No, but I love that. So we'll take that. What's the best investment you've ever made, either in time, money, or energy?
I think the best investment I made is some people I've employed along the way. So one in particular stands out, and she gets embarrassed when I talk about this, but our centre manager now for the Oberoi Business Hub, Jodie Brady, she started with me when she was an apprentice at 16.
Wow.
And she's amazing, and she literally does run that business. I do not have any headache there, and I've seen her grow, and she is one of my best investments.
And isn't that rewarding as well, seeing someone that you've invested in as an apprentice come through, and that's like true empowerment as well. Yeah. Does that not make you reflect back on your leadership and go, actually, I've done a good job?
Yeah, I think, okay, that's fine. Just somewhere, one tick.
No, definitely. So right now, what does success look like for you?
I think for me, it's really, the impact I can have on others.
Nice.
I think it's always been about the purpose. I think it's really important that we have a purpose. But if I can impact somebody else's journey, that's really important, either through, it can be through funding, but it can be through other things. And what I love is when, like this, people listen and they think about their own journey, they do something different. So a variety of ways, really, or contributing in your knowledge and skills to a cause.
No, that's phenomenal. So who's one unsung hero who's shaped your journey?
I think definitely my mum.
I knew you were going to say mum.
Yeah. I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have done the things would have done. And I think, even from a personal perspective, when things got hard, she'd be saying, it's okay, you can do this, it's fine. And actually she'd change her tune. She'd go, you shouldn't be doing all of this. You get the dinner on, you just say, you've got to heat it yourself, you've got to do this. And I was thinking, oh my, she's really changed her tune. She just changed her perception completely.
Yeah. Did it impact? So obviously she's empowered you. Did it start to change how she was as well?
I think so. I mean, my mum, she passed away a couple of years ago. She was my best friend, absolutely my best friend. In the last, probably in COVID, then she came to live with me, and to pay her back, I sort of took as much time as I could. Took her to so many countries. We travelled the world, and she was just amazing. But really, if I think about my mum's journey, she was only 45 when she lost my dad.
Wow, yes.
She had, 2 unmarried children, 2 grown-up children. And I think, God, what a strong woman. I think when you're younger, you always think your parents are older. And when you get to that age, you think, oh my God, I'm at that age now. And how did she do that? And then her attitude as well to arranged marriage, etc., got different, like with my daughters. And her perception completely changed.
Oh, fascinating.
Really fascinating. So she would be saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing that, or, your role isn't just to do this.
Oh, really? Yeah. So actually the things she'd told you all those years before.
all those years before.
No. And I wonder if that was because she'd seen the evolution of you.
I think so, possibly, yeah. But she was like, and again, for her age, she'd sort of be, when she was with my daughter, she'd become their age, right? She was just an amazing, I miss her so much.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, that's so hard. Yeah. I'm so sorry. What's one line you say to yourself when things get tough?
I think sometimes it's like, got to keep that focus, and, you can't control some things you can't control. So if you can keep the focus on the things you can control, then it'll all work out.
I like that. And what would you put it as a quote on a business owner's wall?
God, if I'd have to quote, I think I'm trying to remember the quote I put up outside my office as well. And it's all around, God, what have I got outside there? I think we have to, think differently to really shape the world and make a difference.
Yeah, that's nice, because you need those different perspectives, and sometimes we can be so laser focused or tunnel vision that you can't see the wider things or the wood for the trees.
Absolutely,
perhaps. Oh, fascinating. Now, if there's something you wanted a listener to take away, like one line within this podcast, what would it be?
I think it's self-belief. I think it's really important. I think you've got to have your self-belief. And if somebody even says to you that you can't do something, I think you should use that as motivation, because that's what I did. I always use that as motivation to prove somebody wrong. So I think that's really important.
Absolutely love that. Thank you so much. I've taken so much from this, from the fact that despite this wasn't an option for you, you've gone away and created something with incredible purpose, and now you're giving back in a completely different way as well, through the charity that you started as the £100 checks as a youngster, all the way through to the incredible stuff you do with the charities today. The barriers that you've overcome, the fact that you've been able to navigate so much of this. Failure is not an option. And just making sure that you're passionate about things and it's really truly living to your purpose. Honestly, I could carry on talking forever. I've absolutely loved having you on here. Thank you so much, Kavita.
Thanks, Bev, for giving me an opportunity to share my story.
Oh no, I'm so pleased you did. Thank you.